Houston on him, pulls up straightaway three. Right between the eyes from downtown. The right stuff with 4:06 to play. The Buffs. On the left, there's a backdoor cut caught by Schwartz. Layup is up and good. Oh, the handoff and then down the lane on his way to the hoop. Kick out in the corner to Schwartz. Pulls up, three ball on the way. Oh, there's your dagger right there. Schwartz, he's a killer from downtown. And the Buffs are on top by 12. And once again, Boulder, Colorado is a no-fly zone for the Oregon Ducks as they're 0-9 in Boulder, and the Buffaloes knock off the number 4 ranked team in the country, 74-65 here in Boulder. Well, that's the way the game ended as the Buffs knocked off number 4 Oregon here at the Event Center. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Buffalo Stampede. I'm voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson, head coach Tad Boyle. Got a number of things to talk about here with the head coach of the Buffaloes, but before we get to the OSU game, which I imagine you probably don't want to talk a lot about, but still, we'll get back to the Oregon game. Outstanding effort by your Buffaloes.
Yeah, and we really guarded. I mean, that was the biggest thing. I think everybody I talked to that was at that game and just watching the film is just how dialed in we were defensively to every player on the floor, what they did well, what we had to take away. I thought Shane Gatling's, job on Mathis was terrific. Right. Deshaun on Duarte, McKinley made Pritchard work for everything he got there. Oregon's as talented a team as there is in the country, much less the Pac-12. So great win, great environment in the event center. The fans were terrific, and that one felt good.
Yeah, the Buffs improved to 1-0 in the season of Pac-12 conference play, and we're 12-2 overall. McKinley Wright's play coming into that game had been outstanding. He really seems to like kind of those big stages like that.
He does. He's a great clutch performer, and he's a guy you want the ball in his hands late. You want him on their best player late. He just has a knack for making big plays. And, we had the technical foul that Tyler got, and they cut it to 4 with the free throws, and McKinley comes down and hits a big pull-up 3 at the top of the key to kind of get the momentum back, get the crowd back in the game. And we kind of took it from there.
You knew coming into that ball game that the way Oregon plays, are going to press you quite a bit. You're going to have to deal with their pressure. And your team handled that well, didn't
We did. We handled it great, and we practiced against it. And, we knew sometimes it would be really trapping pressure in the backcourt. There are times it would be kind of like soft pressure and get you at half court. And our guys did a terrific job all game long. 8 turnovers against a team that pressures you like that, and with the athletes and length they have. Terrific performance.
Buffaloes get the 9-point win to open up Pac-12 conference play. They knock off number 4 Oregon here at the Event Center. The game before that, the final game in non-conference play, Tad Boyle got win number 200 and hit that benchmark here at CU.
Let's go.
I'm really proud of you. Obviously, guys, 26 assists. 26. That's to me, that's the team we can be offensively when we share it like we did. Okay, keep guarding, keep rebounding. It's a great way to go into league play.
Yes, sir.
Starts on 11 a.m. on Tuesday. We're gonna get ready for the Ducks.
Yes, sir.
Hey, if you want to get shots tomorrow or get in, let me know.
Yes, sir. Here we go. On your own. Okay, take care of yourself. Proud of you guys. Okay, proud of you guys. Family on 3. 1, 2, 3, family.
Well, nice honor for Tad there with his 200th victory as a head coach of the Buffaloes. Only he and Sox Wolseth have ever had 200 wins as a head coach of the Buffs. Now we move on to the game against Oregon State, a game that you really controlled for much of that contest. You're up by 11 with about 8 minutes to play in the second half, and it got away from you. Here we sit here the day after. What have you looked back on that one and dissected?
33 minutes of really good basketball.
Yeah.
I thought we played as good as we've played all year. I think we've really made some strides offensively. We shot 49% from the field. But, boy, that 7-minute mark came, and they went to the 1-3-1, and we just went brain dead. And we just didn't execute. We didn't have great offensive possessions. Of the last 14 possessions of the game, Mark, we had 2 baskets, and they were on awful possessions. One was an air ball offensive rebound by Deshaun, and the other one was actually a pretty good play by Evan with an and one, but just too many empty possessions down the stretch. We talked a lot during the game at media timeouts about not being happy with trading baskets with them. Every media timeout it seemed like it was a 10-point game. We couldn't separate ourselves, and you trade baskets, and all of a sudden you go cold, and we couldn't get a stop down the stretch. They scored 10 of their last 13 possessions, so really a disappointing loss because we had that game under control. We had a breakaway layup with 7.5 minutes to go that doesn't go in. They come down and hit a 3. So instead of being a 13-point game, have a major control of it. It's a 8-point game, and they've got the momentum, and we let it slip away. So that's on us.
14-2 run by the Beavers down the stretch, and Buffs end up losing by 8. The 1-3-1. You guys talked about it beforehand. You knew it was coming.
Yep.
It was nothing terribly exotic they were doing out there. And what was the difference between the press that Oregon was putting on you that you handled quite well compared to this?
Well, a lot of it's just passing and catching the basketball, fundamentals. I mean, somebody asked me in a post game, what can you say about that? And that's, it's something we've talked about, from day one. So when you can't pass and catch, it's difficult. It doesn't matter what defense they're in or what offense you're in. It's really difficult to have good possessions. So, passing and catching the ball. One thing we wanted to do against the 1-3-1 is get the ball on the baseline. Mm-hmm. They want you to throw it guard to guard out front and get panicked at the end of the shot clock. When we did get the ball to the baseline, we had some good possessions. We got some good looks. They didn't go down, but we've got to be better, and we're going to see it in Corvallis in a few more weeks when we go back.
Yeah, without question. Buffaloes now have a few days of practice before Utah comes to town at 4 o'clock on Sunday. That's the head coach of the Buffaloes, Tad Boyle, coming up next year in the Stampede. Evan Battey's going to join us. That's next. Down the lane, elevates, and slams over the top of the 7-footer Silva. Look out below. Turns corner down the 1, jump pass inside, way the catch, elevates and slams over the top of Kelly. Oh, was that an exclamation point by Tyler Bay? Thompson on his slip screen, giving up to Kelly, goes up for the dunk, rejected by Bay. Oh my goodness. Well, there's some images for the Buffs' loss to Oregon State on Sunday at the CU Event Center. Final score 76-68. Buffaloes coming off that big upset victory over number 4 Oregon on Thursday night. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson, back into Stampede. Evan Battey joining us for a couple of minutes, and that one's going to hurt a little bit. But let's kind of glance back to the victory over the Ducks on Thursday night. Yeah. You guys came up with such great energy in that ball game, didn't you?
Yeah, we really defended to a high level, and the energy was great, and that's what allowed us to be successful.
Yeah, everything seemed to go well on that night, and I thought, I know I'm in with you guys quite a bit when you go over your scouting reports.
Yeah.
I thought Colorado in that ballgame on Thursday night against the Ducks really used that scouting report and let it execute on the court.
Yeah, if we use all the things that are on the board, on the whiteboard, and on the scouting report in the game, it's a low chance of us losing. I mean, that's just the name of the game.
Yeah, and the way that you guys have played the last 5 ball games, that's what makes this OSU game a little bit of an anomaly here. Right. Go back to the stretch leading through there, or coming through that game with OSU, that 5-game winning streak. The way you guys had cut down on the turnovers, the way you've been efficient on the offensive end, you really kind of found some rhythm leading through that game.
Yeah, I mean, going to the OU game, it was a key to the game to not turn the ball over and to really take care of the ball, and we did that. That allowed us to win.
How about you, the way you've been playing as of late? I know you got a little frustrated in that game against Oregon, got in some foul trouble.
Right.
But talk about the way you've been playing.
I don't really force anything. I mean, if I get the ball, I'm trying to score, or trying to make a play for my teammates. So that's the name of the game, and when my teammate's shot goes up, I'm always crashing the glass and getting my team extra shots.
Is there a learning curve for you trying to, because as physical as you are, learning what you can and can do in a ball game that may or may not get called?
Yeah, I mean, you have to factor in that each ref is different as well. So one ref, is going to call a foul that one ref might not think is a foul. Yeah. So, each ref is different, and it's, regarding my freshman year, I had some fouls that I look back on now, and when I'm playing, I keep them in the back of my mind to not make those mistakes again. So
the Buffaloes get the win over number 4 Oregon before falling in disappointing fashion to the Beavers of Oregon State. In fact, let's check out some of the post-game comments from head coach Tad Boyle after the OSU loss.
Look, disappointing loss to say the least. Credit Oregon State. Don't want to take anything away from them. We imploded. Last 5 minutes of the game offensively against that 1-3-1, and it's frustrating because we practiced against it. We knew it was coming. We talked about it. at timeouts. We didn't know when it was coming, but we knew it was coming at some point. And, I thought it was kind of a last resort for Oregon State. They were down 10 with, 5 minutes to go, and they said, well, let's throw this out there and see if they can handle it. And we did not handle it. Turned that thing over and got on our heels and lost our aggressiveness. And, one of the things we talk about against that defense is it's not very sound, especially boxing out. And so you can really offensive rebound against it. But in order to offensive rebound, you have to get shots. And we couldn't get shots because we turned the thing over.
You guys hadn't faced a 1-3-1. What makes that defense unique, if anything, Evan?
Just the way they swarm to the ball and really have high hands and active hands. They had their hands on a lot of balls. Yeah. So I can't really pinpoint exact reason, but I'd say that.
It's frustrating here, and this one kind of leaves, I would think, kind of the similar feeling you guys had after the Northern Iowa game, doesn't it?
Yeah. 100%.
So what now for you guys? You got to go back. You got a week off before Utah comes to town. This one's going to kind of sit in the pit of your stomach, isn't it?
Yeah, we have to get back to the drawing board and really lock into Utah and come out and beat their butts.
Take us into the locker room after this ball game. What was it like in there?
I mean, there's not much you can say when you turn it all over. There's not much you can say when you know that you beat yourself.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
I appreciate Evan Battey being with us as the Buffaloes fall by 8 to Oregon State. We'll go ahead and take a timeout, and we'll continue on the Stampede after this. Bounces off to Gatling. Throws the alley-oop. Oh, the catch by Payne! Holy cow! What a play by Colorado! 45-30. Dalen Kuntz with the alley-oop to Payne in the team. Where the hoop off the window, shot don't go, and a follow tip. Oh, how about that one by Tyler Bay? He by Gatling gives it up to Bay on his way to the hoop, goes up strong, hit from behind. Oh, the follow jam by McKinley Wright. Holy cow, what a play following down. There's some highlights for the Buffaloes' 9-point victory, number 4 Oregon on Thursday night, and then that one fell flat on Sunday as the Buffs fall to Oregon State at the CU Event Center by 8. Neill Woelk of CUBuffs.com, voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Well, what a turnaround. We'll get to that OSU game here in a moment. Go back to Thursday night, though.
Oh, let's do that. Yes.
Yeah, without question. Impressive victory over the Buffaloes, for the Buffaloes over number 4 Oregon here at the Event Center. I thought Colorado defensively played about as well as they had maybe ever for me watching Colorado basketball.
Well, not only they played well defensively against a great offensive team, Mark. That team came in here shooting almost 50% from the floor for the year.
Yeah, 42% from downtown.
From downtown, held them to 3 for 18 from three-point range. Held them under 45% for overall for the night, under 30% or 34% for about the first half. And so that was just a great defensive effort from beginning to end for Colorado. Yeah, as good as I've seen this team play.
That was what makes the game on Sunday so disappointing. But for Colorado, that shows, and I think really that 5-game winning streak they're on through that Oregon game shows when Colorado's playing well, taking care of the basketball, playing well defensively, which has always been a calling card for Tad Boyle, and rebounding well, they show they can play with anybody in the country.
Mark, when they're playing well, when everybody on that team is clicking, when everybody is doing their job, they're tough to beat. They can play with anybody. You saw what they did against Dayton. You saw what they did against a really talented Oregon team, really athletic Oregon team. When they play that way, they're as good as anybody in this conference. When they don't play well, we saw what happened.
Yeah. Deshaun Schwartz, by the way, had another big game shooting the ball against the Ducks. He had through that 5-game winning streak, the last 4 of those, 3 three-pointers or more in 4 straight ball games. Mm-hmm. When he's kind of the complimentary guy to McKinley Wright and Tyler Bay, they really are tough to beat.
That's a 3-headed monster there. Their offense is that's tough to beat because McKinley is getting into that driving the lane and scoring at will type of guy. Deshaun's hitting outside and Tyler's cleaning up everything inside. When they get that rolling like that, Mark, they're really good. And I think you saw it again, like you said, against a very good Oregon team.
But that 9-point win turned into an 8-point loss on Sunday to Oregon State. 2nd year in a row, by the way. The Beavers have come back late to beat the Buffaloes here in Boulder. Let's hear from some of the players after the loss to the Beavers.
We practiced against all our defenses. We knew that it was going to come at some point, and we just didn't execute down the stretch. It's got to be better, man. We'll be okay. Coach Rome's telling us the whole half when we had a 10-point lead that it'll come at some point, and we just didn't execute. Failed to execute down the stretch.
There's the players, and you can tell very downtrodden after the Buffalo's 8-point loss to Oregon State. Here at the Event Centers, we continue with CUBuffs.com's Neill Woelk. That's what makes this game here so perplexing to me, is Colorado against the Beavers really had control. They're up by 7 at the half, plus 11 with 7:57 to play, and then totally fell apart.
Just completely, yeah. And Oregon State threw, it's a last gasp deal, threw that 1-3-1 zone on them, and they had practiced against that Saturday. And I was at practice Saturday and watched them work against it. They knew it was coming at some point. Mike Rowan, the assistant coach in the huddle, kept telling these guys during the game, it's coming, it's coming. They're going to throw it at us sooner or later. They're going to throw it. And they did. Yeah. And Colorado just had no answer, and it was perplexing because, McKinley Wright had troubles against it. And McKinley's a guy that's seen every kind of defense that you can name.
The Buffaloes, by the way, were outscored 14-2 down the stretch of the last 3-4 minutes of this ball game. It's the first time, I think, during this season that I've used the word during a broadcast, tentative, and they were back on their heels late in the ball game. We hadn't seen them play that way. Tad actually, in our postgame on radio, actually used the word scared.
Yes, yeah, and he said that in his postgame press conference as well. He said they were tentative. I think he used the word collapse. I think he used the word implode. I think he used the phrase on their heels, and all those things applied. And it was very unlike a veteran Colorado team. You didn't expect it from a team that has that many juniors out there on the floor.
In fact, he said something about letting it dribble down their leg. I think tinkle would have been the appropriate word, don't you think, against the Oregon State Beavers? That's Neill Woelk at CUBuffs.com. Always check out his coverage on the website. Coming up next, we're talking a little women's basketball. J.R. Payne joins us next.
Whitaker out behind the arc and swish. 3. And she had just stuck one moments ago from there. And Sherrod from the left wing. Payne out. No stopping her. She takes.
Well, the Colorado women's basketball team opened up Pac-12 conference play with a victory on the road against the Utes in Salt Lake City, improving to 12-0. Back in the Stampede, voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson, J.R. Payne, 12-0 to start the season. What a run you guys had.
Yeah, hey, how about that?
Yeah. Take us back to the game in Salt Lake City. Give us a thought or two on that one.
Well, we're such a young ball club, and to open Pac-12 play on the road with a bunch of young players was a little bit nerve-wracking, but we've had a great preseason. I think we feel really good about who we are and where we are and how we're playing. So it was kind of like, let's take this show on the road sort of thing. It was fun.
Is this team fun to coach from the standpoint? I would imagine with a young team, you got to do a lot of coaching with a team like that.
You do, but honestly, every single day is fun. I always say even our bad days are good days. Right. We have a great group of young women who play hard, play together, and we're really learning as we go.
In that game over Utah, what did you do well?
What did we do well? I feel like we did a lot well.
I know it's
that
3
night.
games ago. We're asking you to think back.
We did a lot well. You know what? We came out on fire. Right. We hit I think 3 threes in the first couple minutes, which isn't something we typically do, right off the bat. But we shared the ball really well. It was interesting because we got up pretty big, and Utah came back and tied us. And so I was proud of our resiliency to kind of dig in when we needed to and not wilt when they made a run.
Every young team has got to learn, don't they, a little bit? And I would imagine every game out is a learning process for them.
Yes, absolutely. And there's things, even when we play really well, we say, wow, we still have a lot to learn. Yeah. But we do highlights and lowlights after every single game, and we will continue to get better and learn as we go.
Buffaloes then went on the road, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say there's no tougher road trip in college basketball, period, than what you just did. At number 2, Oregon. At number 3, Oregon State. I was standing out here at one of your practices last week before you left. I was talking with your double, Jill Mahoney, and I said, well, this will be a great experience for a young team to understand what's happening. Yeah. Now, things got a little lopsided against Oregon, but give us a thought about that game.
Well, it's Oregon, and they have 3, lottery picks in their starting lineup. And so what I was disappointed with was our mindset. I was disappointed we were intimidated. I understood it, playing in front of 11,000 people and the best player in the world is their starting senior point guard, and I got all that. But I wanted us to play fearlessly, and we didn't. The cool thing is that we bounced back 2 days later.
So when you talk to a team after a ball game like that, and it's first time that they didn't know what they didn't know going into that.
Yeah.
Do you begin to see that they understand, that's what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's what you meant by, we kept it pretty lighthearted and said we've got a long ways to go, to be able to compete with a team like this. We need to be able to compete at the highest level every single day, so you can't just kind of get through practice and then show up at Oregon and expect to compete. Right. The next day at Oregon State was the best practice of the year, and then we played really well. So I think we learned a lot from that whooping, and we're going to keep going.
Let's go back to that Oregon State ball game, the way your team responded that after the loss at number 2 and had a great deal of fight and gave number 3 all it wanted.
We did, yeah. I mean, we played Oregon State as tough as anybody's played them all year, and I just was so proud of our ability to go from really not very good Friday night to just flushing it, and we came out just with our hair on fire Sunday.
Got an early lead, but then had a little bit of a lull there where they had an 0-2 run or a 10-0 run on you guys, in fact.
Yeah, but just, we showed our resiliency again, to be in that environment in Gill Coliseum. I think they probably had 6,000 or 7,000 people. And, for us to just truly stay together and play the type of basketball we're capable of shows that we're extremely competitive.
Payne Tuatele gave you a nice ball game. Maya Hollingshed gave you a lot of nice performances.
Yeah, a lot of good plays, and a lot of good teamwork and a lot of good sort of togetherness, all the things that you need to be able to compete in that environment. We only have 5 turnovers.
I was going to say, you took care of the basketball game against a top-level team.
Yes, and to be able to do that, I think we had triple, quadruple that the night before. So a big-time adjustment.
Yeah, and out-rebounded the Beavers as well in that ball game.
I don't know that we did, but it was pretty close. Yeah, but
close?
I mean, we're 2 of the best rebounding teams in the country.
Yeah. Well, good stuff, and good luck this week against the LA schools.
All right, thank you.
All right, it's J.R. Payne. They've got USC coming up on Friday night, and then Sunday, the early part of that doubleheader with the men, UCLA at noon here at the Event Center. As we put a wrap this week on the Buffalo Stampede, I'm voice of the Bus, Mark Johnson. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next time.